Hey, welcome in. It's been a while since I've done a class for Michaels. I have currently moved. If you've taken classes with me before, you may see the background is a little bit different, but I'm finally settled and ready to get back into the swing of things. And I've got a really fun project for you guys. I love this one. This is one of my probably in the top 10. I have a lot of favorites. This is probably in my top 10 of favorite designs to make. So I'm really excited to share this with you guys. Also want to mention that Meredith is here in the comments to answer any of your questions about Beadalon products or anything like that. So thank you for being here, Meredith. Let's see. For those of you who have never taken a class from me before, my name is Sarah and I'm a designer for Beadalon. And I'm going to be showing you guys a really cool bracelet project where the bead stringing wire is exposed. I love this look. Some of you are going to love it. Some of you might not love it at first, but it'll definitely grow on you. I think you'll see. And there are so many other possibilities with this. So, excuse me, even though we're making a bracelet project, I hope to inspire you to maybe use your bead stringing wire in an exposed kind of way for things like earrings and necklaces and even rings. So let's get turned around and we're going to get started with the project. All right, so the star of our project for today is the bead stringing wire, of course. And I'm using some Beadalon satin silver bead stringing wire. Now, the bead stringing wire is going to show, and that's why I picked this satin silver. Any of the bead stringing wires, to be completely honest with you, even the bright color looks good, kind of depending on what beads you mix it with. But I just want to show you that satiny finish that's on the outside of that bead stringing wire. That's going to show, it's going to actually be part of the design. And so you might want to color coordinate, right, with the kinds of beads that you're using and the hardware that you're going to be using. So I picked the silver, but feel free to change it up and pick whatever color really speaks to you and the design that you're going to be making. You're going to need about 18 inches of this. I'm going to set this over to the side because I have pre-cut my piece. Okay, so I've got this ready to go. We've got an 18-inch piece. I want to show you the beads that we're going to be using. So if you've taken classes with me before, you know that I talk a lot about these beads that are on the cards, the hanging cards at Michael's classes. I love these because I feel like these are such a good buy. From, you know, a cost standpoint. There are so many beads included. You usually get 4 strands. A lot of times it's 4 strands in different sizes like this one. These are this beautiful gray color. You can see it's going to look really pretty with our satin silver bead stringing wire. But they come in a lot of different colors, and I just feel like it's just a great way to kind of stock up on beads, because we'll use several of these beads for this project, but we'll have a ton left over to make matching necklaces or matching earrings if you want to, or just to have to make other projects in the future, completely unrelated to whatever you're making today. And today's project doesn't take a lot of beads, so that's also a good thing. You're going to need a little bit of hardware. I've got my Beadalon Findings Variety Pack. I love these. I can't express enough how much I love these because, excuse me, everything is included in here. There are 2 different kinds of clasps. There's a variety of jump ring sizes. It's all enclosed. You can toss it in your bag, or you can toss it over to the side of your workspace and then just grab it when you need a clasp or a jump ring. Really, really handy to have. And then the Crimp Cover Variety Pack is a good one to have as well. Again, it's all enclosed. You can take it with you if you're traveling and working while you're traveling, or if you just want to have a good variety of these, put these over on the side of your desk, excuse me, and you've got a ton to choose from. I've used a bunch of these, but I still have a ton left. So definitely cost effective, like with our beads. All right, you're going to need some crimp tubes. I'm using some number 2 crimp tubes. You can use crimp beads if you want to, but the number 2 crimp tubes are my favorite just because I feel like they're easier to crimp. There's more surface area. That's just personal preference. You can use whatever you prefer. If you like the beads better than the tubes, go for it. Excuse me. And we also need some wire guardians. So we're going to need 2 wire guardians. If you've never used a wire guardian before, I'm going to show you how to do that. And then last but not least is a charm. Oh, well, actually, there's one more thing, but I do want to show you the charms here. So these are the Wild Spirit from Bead Landing charms. And I kind of, I'll be honest with you, I kind of collect all of the Bead Landing charms. particularly in the Wild Spirit, I just think they're so, so pretty. So if you've not had an opportunity to look up the Wild Spirit line and see what's in it, I think there's something there that will appeal to everybody. So these that we're using are just these plain, but they have that texture to them, which I think is just enough sparkle for this design. And then last but not least, finally, sorry, I forgot about this part. We're gonna need some head pins, and I've just grabbed a couple of head pins. Just want to be sure that the pin end on these is going to, it's not going to slip through your bead. Okay, so just make sure that you've got the right size to coordinate with your bead. We're going to use these at the end though. All right, so let's get started. The very first thing we're going to do is we're going to take that 18-inch piece of our bead stringing wire, and we're going to thread on a wire guardian onto the wire. We're actually going to bring it to the center of the wire. Okay, so we're going to find the end. And the wire guardian has two little holes for you to thread your wire through. So I'm going to thread through the first hole, and then I'm going to take that wire and it's going to lay inside that channel that's on the top of the wire guardian. Then you're going to take your wire down through. Now, why do you want to use a wire guardian? The wire guardian is going to be the protective barrier between your bead stringing wire and your hardware, whether it's a jump ring or your clasp or whatever other things that you're going to be using, so that that bead stringing wire is not rubbing up against anything. If it is rubbing up against things, then that causes abrasion, and over time will wear away that nylon coating on the outside of your bead stringing wire, and your bead stringing wire could break. All right, so again, we're going to bring that to the center of our bead stringing wire. And that's sort of what makes this design a little bit different than other things you may have done. So now what we're actually working with is two strands. We've just taken that single strand of bead stringing wire and we've turned it into two strands. We want to take a crimp tube, and we're going to thread that crimp tube onto both of the ends of the bead stringing wire. I'm actually going to trim off a little piece there. I had a little mushed end on my bead stringing wire. So we're going to thread the crimp tube onto both of those ends of the bead stringing wire. We're going to bring that down right up here to our wire guardian. And we want to separate those wires inside that crimp tube. You want to make sure that they're not crossing over each other. They're running parallel inside that crimp, and then just kind of hold them apart with your fingers. And you're going to come in with your crimper tool. The crimper tool has got two notches on it. The back notch has that tooth. That tooth is what's going to come down, and it's going to help to further separate the bead stringing wire within that crimp tube. So that's where you want to place your crimp first. Right, so you just want to place it in there and give it a squeeze, and you can see how it helps to further separate out those wires. Again, this is important because you don't want that bead stringing wire even rubbing up against itself, right? Another point of failure. If that bead stringing wire is rubbing up against itself or crisscrossing itself, it could potentially be damaging that nylon coating. So crimping and keeping those wires separated within the crimp is going to ensure the longevity of your piece. Now we're going to take that crimp and we're going to turn it sideways and put it in that front notch of the crimper tool. That's the one that's kind of shaped like an egg or a little oval. We're going to put that in there sideways, and we're going to give it a squeeze. And all that's going to do really is just going to kind of tidy up the crimp and just make it as small as possible. You can even skip the crimp cover if you want to. I find the crimps, once you give them that second step, they're not very big. They don't really take up a lot of room in your design or detract from your overall design. But if you don't like the look of the crimp, you can cover it with a crimp cover. That's what we're going to do right now. So we're going to take one of the crimp covers from our variety pack here and just pick whichever one you want. I'm going to use just the plain, and I'm going to place that over. Well, actually, you know what? In the original, I used kind of the sparkly ones. That's what we'll use. Kind of that sparkly texture to them. So we're going to take that and we're going to place that over the crimp tube. And then you want to use your pliers to close this. And you just want to be really, really gentle because you don't want to mark up the outside of your crimp tube with your pliers. So just squeeze very, very gently. and you may have to come at it from a couple of different angles. And you just want to close that over your crimp, and basically it turns that crimp into a bead. Now it's part of your design. Okay. All right, so now we have 2 strands of bead stringing wire, and we are going to alternate between using the 2 strands and then using them doubled up. So you want to pick out 2 sizes of your beads from your card, and because you have 4 sizes to choose from, you can pick whichever sizes that you want. I'm going to use a combination of these 2. So it's not quite the smallest, it's the next one up and then the next biggest from there, not the largest. Okay, so I'm going to take those, get those ready to go. All right, so we're going to start out with 2 of the smallest beads. Okay, and I'm going to thread 1 onto each one of the ends of our bead stringing wire. Okay, and I'm going to drop those down. And those are going to sit kind of staggered on the bead stringing wire. And you can see they're each going to kind of have enough room to move. And that bead stringing wire is going to be showing. Okay. Now, I'm going to take my 2 bead stringing wires and bring those back together. And now I'm going to thread on a larger bead. And this time I'm going to thread it onto both strands. And I'm going to bring it down. And you want the placement to be however you want it to be. If you want it to be, you know, nice and open so that you've got lots of movement here, that's fine. Or you can bring it down nice and close and make just little beaded clusters if you want to. I kind of like to find somewhere in the middle so that everything still has its own kind of room for movement, but I still have plenty of room for more beads, right? So now we're just going to repeat this this pattern. We're going to separate out the bead stringing wire again. We're going to put smaller beads, 1 on each ends of the bead stringing wire here. And you can have those alternating if you want to. So you can see how they're different on each side, or you can swap them out if you want to, make them both the same so that they're the same on either side. It's really up to you. I will tell you though that these beads are going to move around and travel. So just because you place them there, they may not stay that way. So you kind of have to just be open to the fact that the beads are going to kind of do their own thing, unless you're pulling everything down really, really tight. If you're going to pull everything down really tight, then those beads don't have a whole lot of room to move or do their own thing. Okay. All right. I'm going to repeat. So I'm going to take the 2 ends together and I'm going to thread both of those through a single bead, just like that. And then again, we're just going to repeat, and we're going to do this until we create the entire length of the bracelet. Of course, we want to leave ourselves extra bead stringing wire to accommodate our clasp. So you probably want to leave yourself about 2 inches to work with, give or take. It really kind of just depends on how long you need your bracelet to be. Okay, bring the 2 ends together, thread on a single bead into both. How pretty. I love the combination of the gray beads with that satin silver bead stringing wire, but that satin silver is going to look good with any color bead that you pick. It even looks good with bronze and gold. So you can really mix your metals together if you want to with the satin silver. It's just really beautiful. Has that soft finish to it. Okay, both ends together, single bead. And then a bead on each strand. Single bead on both. Just kind of take a look here, and I like to make sure that everything's kind of evenly placed if possible. Just want to keep everything as even as I possibly can. I know things are gonna, again, they're gonna move a little bit on their own, kind of travel and do what they want to do, but at least I like that initial satisfaction of placing things as even as possible in the beginning here. All right, so now we want to kind of double check to see where we're at as far as length is concerned. Right now we've got about a little over 6 1/4 inches. I'm going to do another 2. And that's going to put us right at about 7 inches with our bracelet. Now, when I add the hardware to this, that's going to give us about 7.5 inches. Okay, but you definitely want to kind of, you know, think in advance as to how long you need this bracelet to be. And again, give yourself 1.5 to 2 inches to work with. So you've got plenty of the speed stringing wire, because we do have to crimp again. You need about 2 inches of that to do that comfortably. But if you need a bigger bracelet, definitely add more beads to this, because you've got a little wiggle room here with the leftovers. Okay, so we're gonna finish off basically the same way that we started, but then we're gonna crimp. We're actually gonna do 2 crimps on this. So the first thing we're gonna do is exactly what we did when we got started. We're gonna take the 2 pieces of bead string and wire. We're gonna bring those together, and we're gonna thread a single crimp bead onto both. And then we're going to bring that down, and we don't want to bring it down here right up against our beads. We want to give it the same kind of room that we have given for our larger bead, so that it's spaced as evenly as possible. And then before you crimp right here, right, before you commit to that, you again want to take another look at the placement of all of your beads. Now's the time to kind of wiggle if you need to adjust the placement of everything a little bit. Once you crimp, you're committed. So definitely make all of your adjustments now before you get to that crimp. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now, same thing, you want the bead string wire to be running parallel inside that crimp bead, not crisscrossing over itself. And we're going to crimp the exact same way. So we're going to bring in our crimper tool. We're going to place that into the back notch of our crimper, and we're going to give that a squeeze. Okay, then we're going to turn it sideways and put it in the front notch of the crimper tool and give it another squeeze. That's going to make it more compact. You want to pull on it, give it a good tug to make sure that everything is good. Now we're actually going to cut off one of these wires, because we only need 1 wire to finish off with our hardware, right? So if you've crimped properly, you tug on it, everything feels nice and secure, you can come in with your cutter tool and you're going to trim off one of those, and you want to cut it as close to that crimp as you possibly can. Okay, now we're going to come in with another crimp cover. This side is actually going to have 2 crimp covers, but since they look like beads, it's okay. We're going to put that over our crimp. You want to do this before you crimp again. Okay, so go ahead, don't wait till the last minute to put this crimp on. And you want to use your pliers, again, very gently, to cover up your I'm having a hard time with mine. Cover up your crimp. Just be gentle and go slow. There's no reason to rush. If you rush, that's when you end up making big, nasty tool marks on your metal. You don't want to do that. So go slow, get it on there the way you want it. Okay. Now we're going to crimp again. This time we're only working with that single crimp, or that single bead stringing wire. So we're very much going to treat this like we would any other stringing project. We're going to take another crimp tube and our wire guardian. We're going to thread our crimp tube onto the end. Okay, and then we're going to thread on our wire guardian. So take that bead string and wire, up through the wire guardian, and then turn it back around, go back down through the wire guardian and down through your crimp. You want to pull all of that down up next to the crimp tube cover. Okay. And you want to get close, but you don't want to crowd things out. You know, you don't want to pull it up so tight that everything's kind of stiff. You know how if you pull the bead string wire just too tight, it will get really stiff on you. You definitely don't, if you have everything stiff, it's not going to lay correctly on your body when you're wearing it. All right, so again, make sure the bead string wire is not crossing, okay? Put that crimp into the back notch, give it a squeeze, turn it sideways, put it in the front notch, and give it a squeeze. All right, we're going to come in with our cutter tool and trim off the excess. And then we're going to come in with another crimp cover and cover that up. So that one's going to sit right next to the one we just added. Just looks like two little beads here at the end of our bracelet. Again, just go slow. Make sure you don't accidentally pinch your bead stringing wire. Get that shape there as good as you can. Try to keep mine as round as possible, but sometimes they get a little more squished than others. And the truth is that nobody's really going to be noticing them that much. So if yours looks more like an oval than a round bead, it's going to be okay. This is all going to be where your hardware is. Nobody's going to be paying that much attention to those crimp covers anyway. All right, so our bracelet, as far as the stringing part, is complete. We have, we've secured our ends. And now we're ready to add some hardware to this, and we're going to add our charms and some little extra dangles just for fun. So I'm going to grab a lobster clasp out of my Findings Variety Pack, and I'm going to get 3 jump rings out. Okay. Now, before we attach all of this, let's do some wire wrapped loops with some of these smaller beads to add to our little charm, because remember, we're gonna put some little dangles on the end here. Now you can skip this part. You don't like the dangles. I'm all about adding movement to my jewelry, so I always use this as an opportunity to add extra. I'm extra. What can I say? All right, so I've got 2 head pins. And I'm just going to do wrapped loops. So I'm going to thread 1 bead onto the end of a head pin, and I'm going to come in with my chain nose pliers, and I'm going to walk you through a wrapped loop. So we're going to grab that wire right where it is exiting the bead, and we're going to bend the wire over the top of the pliers. That way, when we remove the pliers, you can see there's a little bit of space here. That's how much room we need to do our wraps. We're going to come in with our round nose pliers. And I'm going to take that wire up and over the top barrel of the pliers. Okay. Now I need to take the wire all the way over to close up that loop, but I can't because that bottom barrel of the pliers is in the way. So to fix that, all I'm going to do is just rotate the pliers in my hand. I don't even have to take this off of the tool. Just rotate the pliers, and then you can guide your wire all the way over to close up your loop. I'm going to switch hands and use my chain nose pliers to help create those wire wraps. And then I'm going to come in with my cutter tool and trim off the excess wire. If you can't get in there really tight, you see how I have like a little piece left over, just come in with your pliers and very gently just kind of squeeze it and tuck it in so that it's not going to stick out and get closed, or I'm sorry, get caught rather on your clothing. Okay, so there's one. We're going to do another one. So we're just going to follow the same steps. Chain nose pliers, bending the wire over the top. We're coming in with our round nose pliers. Up and over. Rotate the pliers, take the wire over to the other side. And then we're going to wire wrap between the loop and the top of our bead. And we're going to come in with our cutter and trim off the excess. Tuck in whatever little tail you have left. Okay. And now we're going to attach these to a jump ring. We're actually going to attach these with our little charm as well. Let's take our charm off of the card. And you know what? This jump ring's already got it, or I'm sorry, the charm already has a jump ring on it. So you know what? We're going to leave this jump ring. That means I can save one of my jump rings from my Findings Variety Pack. Just set that one over to the side. I'm going to open up the jump ring that's on this charm already. Just twist. And I'm going to thread on my 2 little beads here, right? That just adds a little extra. Close that back. Okay. Now we're ready to add our hardware, and we're going to add our charms as well. So I'm going to take another jump ring between 2 pairs of pliers. I'm going to twist to open. I'm going to thread that on to one of the wire guardians. And I'm going to thread on the charm, the jump ring with the charm. And then I'm going to thread on my clasp. And I'm going to close that back. And then on the other end, I'm going to add another jump ring for our connection for our lobster clasp. Now, if you need to add additional length to your design, you can always add extra jump rings here. This is a great opportunity to add a few more jump rings. You can create your own extension chain by linking your jump rings together if you want to. It's really up to you. I always, of course, you can buy extension chain. Michael's has extension chain. It's already made for you. I always recommend that if you're making jewelry to sell, or to give away and you don't necessarily know the size, then a extension chain is a really good way to go. And if you make your own, you can dress it up with some more beads, some extra dangles, so that it's not just a plain chain. I like to use any opportunity I can, right? to add more dangles to things. I don't know. I'm one of those people, more is more with me. I got to have all of the dangles and all of the movement possible. But our bracelet is complete. It's quick and easy. It doesn't use a ton of beads. And I want you to see, I still have so many beads left over. And to be honest with you, I've already made a couple of pieces of jewelry with these beads on this card. And you can see, so I didn't even start with full strand. I still have a ton left over. So that's definitely a cost-effective way to stock up on your beads, is the ones on the cards like that with more than one strand. And doing your exposed bead stringing wire also gives you extra room. So you don't use nearly as many beads in your design, because you're letting that bead stringing wire be part of the design itself. Now, whether you're using the satin silver, or if you're using like a bronze color or the bright color, it still works the exact same way. And this can be used in earrings, right? You can do the same thing with earrings. You can have your exposed bead stringing wire with some really pretty hoop earrings. You just want to crimp the ends, use a wire guardian, the same thing. Just let that bead stringing wire be the actual body of the hoop. Thread on some of your favorite beads, and you've got a really soft and lightweight pair of earrings. Or this could be part of a necklace as well. So lots of options with your exposed bead stringing wire. It really can be a fun way to maximize your bead stash, right? By and I mean that in the sense that like you're saving beads, right? Because that's how we maximize. Not using more, using less. A little bit backwards. All right, I'm going to turn you guys around. And we are going to say our goodbyes. Hold on. I should turn around here. I'm going to show you this bracelet just from another perspective, just so you can kind of see what it looks like. Different than laying down. It really is such a pretty design, has just enough sparkle, and it's a lightweight design. So as the weather starts to adjust and get hotter outside, I don't know how you feel about it, but I'm not a huge fan of wearing heavy jewelry in the spring and summer months. It gets really hot here and it makes me really uncomfortable. So if I can find lightweight jewelry that is still beautiful and I still get all the sparkle, that's what I go for in the spring and summer months. And this is definitely checking all the boxes. I've got all of the sparkle that I need, and it's still a beautiful piece of jewelry, but it's lightweight and it doesn't make you hot, you know? So there you go, guys. I hope you have enjoyed today's class. I hope I've inspired you to look at your bead stringing wire in a new way. Let it be part of your design. There are so many different things that you can do with it. Let it be the star of the show if you want to. It's made, you know, for structure, but it really is beautiful enough to use in your overall piece. So, all right, have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Come back here for more Michael's classes. You can see some really amazing designers, and I'll be back with you guys soon with another fun project as well. So thank you. Have a great afternoon. Bye, guys.